We're giving away a World Championship replica belt at 100,000 subscribers. Click subscribe today for a chance to win.
Yes.
Welcome back to the Angle Show, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to kick things off with some huge news surrounding Elias. We have a big update on this. There's obviously been a lot of talk about Elias potentially going to AEW, Ring of Honor. There was this belief that he was signing there. He was going to be part of the Righteous. What's actually really interesting is there's been a massive update. Fightful Select has reported that those rumors are actually untrue, and Elijah, formerly known as Elias, is not under contract with AEW or ROH. The report also notes that despite competing against Tommy Billington at the Jericho Cruise event, he is actually still a free agent. Also, what is really even interesting, I think this is even the most interesting and most fascinating part of the story, it's the fact that TNA has interest in bringing him in. Wow. Listen, I really loved that vignette with him and the Righteous. I personally thought that was really cool. I personally thought that was like a really, really nice, intricate, creative video. And to me, it sold me on the idea, honestly, of them being together. What's actually even more fascinating here is the fact that AEW has not signed him. Listen, Elias, he's been a free agent for a little bit of time. We've seen him do a little bit here and there, but we haven't seen him on TV. And I'm going to say this constantly until he is on TV, but he's just one of those guys that I want to see on TV. You know what I mean? He's got a really good character. He's really good at cutting promos. He's really good at being a creative pro wrestler. And I think AEW is a company that sometimes, not always, but sometimes lacks that. Ladies and gentlemen, what am I saying here, man? Let's just be real. Let's cut the shit. AEW honestly needs more characters. I think that's one of the biggest interesting problems that they have. It's the most interesting problem to me because, quite frankly, if you look at AEW, they all have great wrestlers and they do have some great characters, but the best content on AEW television are the character-heavy wrestlers. Listen, look at Hangman Page, look at Tony Storm, look at some of these characters that truly have, actual characters that you could get invested into. So to me, it's a no-brainer. You bring in a guy like Elijah and immediately makes the Righteous feel like a big deal. I don't know how you don't do that. I don't know how you don't bring him in. So let's cut this shit. Let's be real. Let's call it what it is. AEW, if you really, really want to grow, you have to give something that the people are invested in. And I'm not saying Elijah comes in and is a game changer, but when you bring in people like that and you look at this video package of The Righteous with Elijah, you can clearly see that there is a lot of opportunity to tell great stories. And the good thing is all three guys would be relatively good wrestlers. How about utilizing that to help your trios division? That brings us to our next topic. We have obviously been talking a lot about Vince McMahon. This is the craziest thing that I have seen because the Vince McMahon situation obviously gets more intriguing day by day. But Vince McMahon's lawyer says that the federal criminal probe against McMahon has been dropped. Obviously, this would be quite groundbreaking. So let me just read this for you guys. Vince McMahon's lawyer, Robert W. Allen, noted in a statement that federal prosecutors in Manhattan have dropped a criminal probe against McMahon regarding whether McMahon tried to cover up multiple allegations of sexual misconduct. This is simply the result of an appeal of a procedural matter that was argued 5 months ago. This is what his lawyer told the New York Post. We have been in consistent communication with the government since that time and understand with no ambiguity that the investigation has definitively concluded and will not result in charges. Obviously, this is groundbreaking news, especially when you consider that a lot of people were wondering what would happen here. Listen, this is a big deal. This is a very big deal. One of the things I always talk about is we got to trust the legal system. The legal system is a very big aspect of this. We live in a world where everybody is guilty and everybody's guilty and you never let it play out or whatever it may be. I'm not here to say that Vince McMahon did or didn't do what was alleged, but obviously the government has dropped the criminal probe. They're not looking into this anymore. Can that change? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but I think this is really insane to think about, especially when you consider all the stuff that's been said. And obviously with social media being so so particular about condemning people right away. I think people naturally just jump on this trend where they immediately say, hey, you're guilty, you're found guilty, you know, but there is a thing called innocent till proven guilty. So it's not, I don't want to be the moral police. I don't want to be anything like that. I just think what I've learned throughout time is to let things play out. And again, I'm not saying it did or didn't happen. Obviously, what was alleged was very crazy, but the government, according to his lawyer, are done looking into this. So what was the reason for that? I don't know. I don't know why they stopped. Maybe they didn't find evidence. Maybe they didn't find, I don't know. I can't tell you guys. However, this is what they're coming out with. So does this, what does this mean for the future of Vince McMahon? To be honest with you, I think his reputation regardless will be tarnished anyways. So I don't really think this changes much, but obviously from a criminal aspect, this might not be going anywhere. And that brings us to our next topic of today's video. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Khan has rejected a release. As you guys saw, Miro, Malachi, Ricky Starks, all gone from the company. We saw Bear Boulder released the other day. As I've mentioned before, there was more expected cuts, potentially even more coming again. You know, that's something I've been following up with and paying attention to. Now let's talk about this. Fightful Select has obviously done a great job reporting. Sean Ross Sapp said that Phoenix had been considered for part of the releases, but that didn't end up happening. Basically AEW, Tony Khan have rejected the idea of doing that. So Tony Khan, you know, is basically there's this belief that Tony Khan is letting people go if they don't want to be there, which is a great move. That's how it should be. I've been saying this on my live streams for a very long time, so it makes sense. However, what I think really needs to be mentioned here is that obviously holding Ray Phoenix back is disappointing. And I think Tony Khan needs to know that the more and more that you keep him held back, the more you're just creating anticipation for when he leaves. When he leaves and he shows up, probably in WWE, it's going to be a massive moment. The longer you keep him and the longer you hold him back from doing it, I don't think it gets worse for him. I think it gets better for Phoenix because I think people will be anticipating it and they know that he's being held back. So to me, seeing that they've rejected this release is pretty insane. If I were Tony Khan, and I've been saying this for months now, if I were Tony Khan, honestly, I've been saying this for years. If I'm Tony Khan, if I'm Triple H, if I'm any of these companies, if I have talent that don't want to be there, I'm letting them go. I am investing my money in the people that are going to help me grow my business. I'm not going to spend money on the people that are going to hurt my business and the perception of my business. This is not a complicated matter. Ray Phoenix is not going to go into WWE and make WWE billions and billions of dollars. So what are we doing here? Ladies and gentlemen, that is The Angle Show.